Episode 44.
This is John Pollock, the CEO of Financial Gravity, and this is a Small Business Puzzle podcast.
Struggling to get your business online? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle podcast. Now, here's your hosts, Michael and Teresa Blaze.
Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle podcast. I'm Michael, and I'm here with my wife, the love of my life, Teresa.
Hello, everybody.
So I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We had a good Thanksgiving. We actually celebrated it at our church since we don't have any family close. So
no, we had family church. We had family. It was just church family. So, can't say no to that. So
no, it was good. Them ladies know how to make us good food.
Yes, sure. They do. Yes, they do. So that being said, what do you say we roll on with the show?
Not to mention your fruit salad. Your fruit salad is awesome. Let's go ahead and roll. I want to thank you guys for continuing to be there for us and listen to the episodes. I hope what we're delivering is value, and that's why I'm making the next announcement. I would like to talk to some of you one-on-one about the episodes and about the direction of the Small Business Puzzle podcast. We could talk till we're blue in the face, get great interviews, interesting people, all that stuff. But if we're not adding value to your life, why are we here?
That's one of the biggest things we can do is we want to add value. We want to offer something that's useful.
What I'd like you to do is to go to the sbppodcast.com and click on the contact button. Go ahead and go there and fill out the form and give me your phone number and a time that I can reach you. If you're outside the U.S., then give me your Skype name and we'll make arrangements. We'll contact you one-on-one and we'll set up a time that meets both our schedules so we can talk to you. We really want to get to know you. We want to serve you guys. That's what this is all about. All right. So that being said, we have got a treat for you. One of our very, very, very best friends.
His name is Hani Mourra.
Hani is a seriously cool guy, and I know you're going to enjoy this one. So let me read you just a real quick bio. Hani Mourra is a dad softwareprenuer and the creator of Repurpose IO, the software designed to help content creators automate the distribution of podcasts and live videos across multiple platforms and grow their audience faster. And we use Repurpose. It's an awesome tool.
Hani, welcome to the Small Business Puzzle podcast.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. Awesome to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. You're both a software developer and you work with video and you've done WordPress plugins and you're an all-around serial entrepreneur. So my question to you is, given everything that you have done, if you had a group of our audience in a room, sitting there listening to you give a speech, what would be the one message that you would want to give to them?
My message would be to just get started because I didn't know where I was going when I started. But as you take your first step and you get started, then doors open up, opportunities open up. But more importantly, you got to get your hands dirty and get in there and start something, and it will lead you to lead you anywhere. I had no idea I'm going to end up creating 4 or 5 different softwares when I started blogging back in 2009. I had no idea, but I got started.
And how hard would you say is it to develop a software? I mean, to come up from idea to actual getting it developed?
It all depends if you're doing, WordPress plugins versus, full standalone web application or a SaaS application. I've done both now. My latest is a web-based online software, which is a whole new ball game, and it was new territory for me. But I enjoy the learning process. But if anyone's getting into software or whatever project that you're starting, you always want to start simple. Start with something simpler. Like I started with WordPress because it was simpler then starting, my own online software. And it's simpler because I don't have to worry about managing servers and all that stuff. It's an environment that's kind of controlled, in WordPress, and you got to work within the parameters there. So whatever project you're working on, you got to do it in incremental steps. You got to start with something. And actually, before software, I started just blogging. Like, I started blogging in 2009 about video because that's something that I loved talking about. I love sharing. I love teaching about, YouTube and how to make videos and how to get them optimized on YouTube and how to keep things simple when making video. I just started blogging about stuff that I liked. And then from there, that kind of led me to an opportunity to create a software for YouTube, which was my first WordPress plugin. So, yeah, the advice is to get started with something that you're excited about and see where it goes.
Do you still blog today?
Not as much as I'd like to, and the reason is because the software has kind of consumed me. I think I'm up to 5 pieces of software that we're supporting as a team. I'm not doing it all myself, of course. It's a team effort, but I'm blogging less and less. But I find nowadays it's the content that I share now is in what we're doing right now, and basically as a podcast. Like, I've been always wanting to start my own podcast. I haven't got around to doing it because of the software, but I find I have a lot of opportunities to talk to people and get interviewed on different podcasts, and I really enjoy it because it's almost like blogging to me. I'm sharing content. I'm sharing either my story or my tips or advice or whatever the topic is on a podcast. I enjoy it because it's a conversation I'm having with yourself in this case and with your audience. So this has kind of lately been my form of blogging, which is podcasting on other people's shows.
That's interesting. So you see podcasting as a form of blogging. Well, then let's go back. Let's talk to a couple types of people. Let's say that you actually run a blog. What tips would you have for a person that is running a blog on average?
Yeah, if you're running a blog, be consistent with the interval of your content, whether it's once a week, whether it's once a day, which is pretty aggressive, whether it's once a month, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you have time for, just be consistent with it. That's one thing. And then another thing is, whatever the topic that you're blogging about, obviously make sure you're excited about it, but also make sure you're, knowledgeable, you're comfortable and knowledgeable enough to talk about it for a long period of time. So don't pick a topic and then, a few months later say, I'm going to start talking about sports. And then a few months later, I'm bored of this. I'm going to start a new blog on, I don't know, hiking. Yeah. So I kind of pick a topic that you really, really excited about, that you feel is enough to cover. And also, like, if you already have an audience or you have people around you, surround you, try to pick topics based on what people need answers for, or solutions for. So it all depends. If you're doing blogging as part of your business or part of your strategy for your online marketing, then definitely blog about stuff that people, are looking for, which you can find using some, keyword tools from Google that help you find what people are searching for. So it really depends on your purpose. For me, when I got started, I didn't have my goals set. I didn't know. I knew I wanted to blog, especially video blog, because I love video and I was teaching about video, but I didn't know where it was going. And so I just started blogging about stuff that I enjoyed teaching. And
speaking of video, you are now kind of delving into live video. Is that correct?
Yeah, live video right now it's hot. Not only hot in the sense that it's just a fad or something. It's hot because you get a lot of benefits from live video. First, you don't have to edit. It's live video. You got to prepare your content. You got to be, of course, it's nerve-wracking the first couple times because sometimes you don't know what to say. You might have awkward silence, but with practice comes, you get better at it. But it's just a great chance to create video content. And especially on Facebook, if you're doing Facebook Live, Facebook loves live video, and it's going to give you the exposure to your audience in their news feed as soon as you go live. So that's the value. The two values there is you get the exposure from Facebook if you're doing Facebook Live, and then also the fact that you don't have to edit. It's just prepare and then deliver on the live broadcast.
Yeah, what I'm finding when I try and do Facebook, and maybe I just need to talk to some blind friends of mine and see what they can tell me, is I can go live, but then I have a hard time finding the camera to switch it so that it's facing the right way. Using voiceover and all that. But that's neither here nor there. I guess part of my issue is I wish that Facebook would make their app a little bit more blind friendly, just a little bit more.
Well, actually, now they're more and more releasing it to people to do the Facebook Live audio. So that's something I've seen people do now. It's very, very new. Not everyone has it, but basically you go live on Facebook, but it's audio only. You pick a picture and you just talk on the mic, but you're live. So I guess they're exploring with Facebook Audio Live as another platform for people who are maybe more camera shy or just, they're in their pajamas and they don't want to go on camera yet and they want to just have a conversation through audio.
When did they start rolling that out?
I've heard for Android, it's been a few weeks, like it's been out a few weeks. And I've heard a few people on iOS are starting to get it as well. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that option on my phone. I'm on iOS, but so I haven't seen it, but I've seen people like yesterday just, say, oh yeah, I just got access to it. And then they did their first Facebook Live audio. So to me, that's exciting platform, but people are saying, oh, this is going to kill podcasting. I highly doubt it. I really highly doubt it. Podcasting is a completely different platform, right? You have a show, it's consistent. People can subscribe on their phone. So it's a whole different platform, but they can work side by side.
And I think a lot of things are going to come in and supposedly kill podcasting. But I mean, podcasting's been around for years. I could see the use for Facebook audio in the live sense. Being able to actually monitor, okay, I've got these messages coming in and, to me that sounds like it would be a wonderful alternative, but hopefully, we'll see. So, okay. So what are your tips going back to Facebook video or Periscope or YouTube Live?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Facebook Live, to be honest. I played around with Periscope when it first came out. I don't know. I didn't get a good vibe from it. I don't have a big Twitter following, I have a decent sized Twitter following, but I'm not connected. I don't feel a connection with them. And same on YouTube. I have, a few hundred subscribers to my YouTube channel over the years, but I don't feel like I know them. Like, they follow me to subscribe. I might follow them subscribe to their channel, but I don't have the connection. But on Facebook, those are, a lot of them are either really good friends or really good friends in the industry and in the podcasting space and in the space that I hang out, or sometimes some of them are customers. I just feel a better connection. So when I'm going live on Facebook, I get a lot better response because people want to come in, they want to say hi, they want to ask questions, they want to interact, as opposed to Periscope and Twitter where I don't have a big following there on Twitter. So it all depends on where you think your audience hangs out more or they know you better. So if you're big on Twitter and you've had a huge Twitter following, then maybe Periscope might work better for you. But my tips it's very similar to blogging. So whether you're doing podcasting, you're doing blogging, now Facebook Live, or whether you're just creating video, video series, a video blog, uploading it to YouTube, whatever the content is one of the most important things is besides having good content, of course, like good topics and researching what people want to hear, is being consistent about it. And it can be hard. Right? Sometimes you get demotivated, maybe you might not get enough listens or views on your Facebook Live. And you're like, oh, why am I doing this? Am I wasting my time? But
I can relate.
Yeah, I can relate too. I've built blog posts that had like 0 comments, and I was like, why did I just spend hours and hours making this video?
I know that feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah, it's just like, you get demotivated. So, but you gotta think it's the long-term game. Like you're building like this footprint, this digital footprint. I know people use that. I didn't make up that word. But I like hearing it. It's literally a digital footprint. When you have a blog and then you have the content on YouTube and you have the content on Facebook, in terms of like live videos, and you have a podcast, you're just building this library, this presence online over time. And, your blog post will, you may not get hundreds or a ton of views, but you're leaving your footprint online by having content on different platforms, including blogging and podcasting, YouTube, and then now Facebook Live as well. So if you can integrate those and be on all these different platforms, it just helps leave your content in different places. But more importantly, people consume content differently, right? So some people like to read. I don't as much. I like to listen to podcasts. Like, to me, audio is my favorite platform because I can listen to it when I'm driving, when I'm, at the gym. I can't watch a video when I'm at the gym. I can't read a blog post. So it's good to have different versions or different spices of different variety of content in different platforms, or even repurpose like existing content to different platforms, just because you can reach more people, because people have preferences on how they consume their content.
And what podcasts are you currently geeking out on?
Yeah, no, I'm a big geek. Lately, in the past, I would say 4 years. What year are we in now? Wow, I think 4 years. Looking at my numbers here, when I started getting into software and the WordPress plugins, I started listening to this podcast called Startups for the Rest of Us, and it's very focused on software. It's a weekly show, and they talk about software and startups, and every week's a different topic, but it's about software in general. And I learned so much from there, and that's because I used to listen to a ton of podcasts, and it was fun. But this one, I started filtering my list down to, now it's down to one, which is this one, because that's what I was doing. I was working on software, and in a sense, it was still a startup. I'm starting new softwares every time, and I learn from them, from their experiences, from their stories. I used to listen to one about Facebook ads, and one about different types of topics. But then I realized that even though they were exciting, but I'm not ready for that stage yet. I was not ready for Facebook ads yet. So, it was fun to listen to. It was exciting, but I couldn't implement anything, or I couldn't even try anything because I wasn't there yet. So I kind of cut it down to one podcast right now. I'm addicted, to be honest. When they're late, when they're like a few hours late, I was like, wait, where's my podcast? I need it. It's Tuesday morning. I need my podcast. So it's so funny how you get dependent on, not dependent, but you get hooked on these shows that you really enjoy. So that's good for the content creator, right? If they know that you have an audience that's following you, that I literally tweet them out. Hey guys, I'm waiting for the episode. It's Tuesday, 10 o'clock. What's going on? How come it's not out yet? So it's funny how that works.
To me, that really strikes a chord, because I have a similar experience. There are two shows that that are not necessarily in the business space, but it's Michael's fault. I'm a geek. It's Michael's fault.
I created a monster.
Yes, and he admits it. Anyway, there are two
let's
shows.
Put it this way. I have to tease her because I had to get her a bigger iPhone, a bigger memory iPhone, because she filled it up with podcasts.
Well, yeah. And there are two shows. Well, okay. I won't mention how many podcasts I have subscribed in my feed. I just won't. But I will say this. There are two
She's
podcasts.
She's a content vacuum.
There are two podcasts that regularly find themselves at the top of my list in the morning. One in the morning and then one that shows up in the afternoon. And they are macOS Ken, so I can follow all my daily Apple news. And then Daily Tech News Show. Those two podcasts for me are my way of keeping up with the technology, and they get in some interesting spaces, But I have the business-oriented podcasts like Ask Pat and EO Fire for those sort of things, But when it comes to podcasts that I look forward to every single day, aside from the biblical, so I can keep fed in God's word, those two are my mainstays. Every day I'm listening to them, every single day. And the thing is, and the reason why I bring it up in this, and I think this is something you hit on, Hani, is if you can build an audience that is so ravenous for your content in whatever form that takes, then you've won half the battle.
It's true. It's addictive. You're in their ears. You're literally in their ears on a daily or a weekly basis. And, that leaves an impact on them. So it's podcast. That's why podcasting is a powerful platform, is because they get notified when you have a new episode automatically. You don't have to chase them. iTunes or, whatever app you're using to listen will notify you when a new episode is out. You as the listener, and then B, you're talking to their ears. You're with the headphones on, you're talking right in my ear every week, and you just feel some kind of connection with the person. You feel like you know them because you've listened to them for weeks and weeks and weeks, months. To me, it's like years, literally like 3 years. I've been listening to this podcast, and I feel like I know these guys. I've never met them. I know their software and I've used some of their software, but I just feel like I have a deeper connection with them just by listening to their podcast.
And, for me, there are times, I may not necessarily agree with a lot of what they say. I mean, in the sense of sometimes even in covering tech news, they'll cover something political and I'm kind of like, I don't go for that. But my knowledge has increased. I feel like I know these people a lot more. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge benefit. And I think if you are blogging or you're doing live video or whatever it is you're doing, make sure that you are connecting with your audience. And the best way to do that is to be consistent.
Yeah, that's true. And the cool thing is people learn differently as well. Like people like to learn visually, or people like to, hear things or read things. But also I find that video is a great tool for teaching. Like you're trying to show somebody something, whether it's a screencast or you're trying to explain something, I'd sit down and watch a video to learn how to do something. Like I sit there and learn how to fix my car. Like I watch these YouTube videos, right? So I'm looking for a solution. So YouTube is, in my mind, is like solution oriented. Podcasts are almost like storytelling. It is storytelling in a sense. Like if people are following the story on a weekly basis. I mean, in my case, I listen to, it's not a fictional story. It's a story about these guys. And every week they talk about their software and what they learned and they answer user questions. But it's educational, but it's entertainment at the same time. So I find it entertaining. Like I'm not there to like take notes and take action on everything they say, but it's fun. Like I enjoy listening to people's stories about stuff that's related to or similar to what I'm doing. So podcasting is almost like an educational / it has to be entertaining. While YouTube is more of a educational how-to style.
That's interesting.
Platform.
That's very interesting. I'm reminded of, have you heard of the Startup Podcast?
Startup Podcast. Yeah. I've never listened to it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
I haven't. I need to actually catch up. I'm behind like 20 episodes. But it is a podcast where, at least the season I was on, they were featuring different companies. And the season they started, they were featuring, well, how do I launch a podcast network? How do I launch a podcast network? And this is a guy that came out of Bloomberg, or I don't remember, Bloomberg or something like that, but
Alex Bloomberg.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he came out of one of the big name podcast networks. I think it was NPR, and he did an entire podcast on the things that he went through to start his new podcast network, and get investors behind it and everything else. And while it was a little bigger than where I'm at right now, I mean, it was incredible to me because I was listening to the guy's story, and I'm like, well, what would I do in that situation?
Yeah, it's a story. It's a storytelling platform. Even if you're teaching or you're learning, but it's still a storytelling platform. And that's what makes it unique almost. It's what makes it fun to listen to. It's not like you're in a lecture listening to a teacher. You hear someone's story about a topic or about their experiences. And that's why I enjoy podcasting, because I can do it at the gym because it's entertaining. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and you got to definitely entertain your audience too. I mean, if all you're doing is talking in a dry monotone the entire time and lecturing about whatever it is your topic is, your podcast isn't going to last very long.
No.
Most people are not going to absorb that well. It's kind of like going to church and listening to a pastor who talks in a monotone, and you might as well listen to the recording, because listening to him live doesn't do any good.
And the other thing too that strikes me is, and this is on a similar vein, I think that's why so many people are also addicted to Shark Tank, for example. Why? Because what do those people do when they come in the tank? They're selling the investors their story in hopes of getting investment. Yeah.
And people connect with people, right? I can connect with somebody when I hear about their background or about their story. And, sometimes you put yourself in their shoes if you can relate to them. And sometimes it's just interesting to see what people are up to and how they got to where they were, or it's the story. It's about the personal connection. I know not all podcasts are about people necessarily, or like about people's stories, but the podcasting, I find it's a great platform for sharing a story, or it's a great platform for listeners because they get to listen it and consume it as a story. So as a content creator, keep that in mind. If you're creating content, even if you're doing it for a business purposes, keep that in mind, that you want to create content has to be entertaining / educational. It doesn't have to be educational, but if you want it to teach something, keep it entertaining. And but with a YouTube video, obviously you have to make it entertaining, but like engaging, but it's still like, it's a whole different platform. You can go in there and say, all right, I'm going to teach you how to upload a video to Facebook. Here's how you do it. That's perfect for YouTube, but not good for a podcast. You know what I mean? So someone's on YouTube, I'm looking for how to upload a video to Facebook. I found my answer. I'm happy. I'm a satisfied YouTube customer. But if I'm going to listen to a podcast and the whole podcast is like, okay, click here and then do this and then do that, it's like, well, I don't want to listen to that. It's something I want to see. So definitely keeping your platform is important. Like, keep that in mind when you're creating content. And
tell us about your current project.
Yeah. So the latest project, which is kind of how we got reconnected again, is this thing called Repurpose. The whole idea is it automates the repurposing of your media, your content in media form, your audios, your videos, your live streams. Repurpose them across different platforms. So for example, if you have an audio podcast, you can have a copy sent over to YouTube in a video format. So it converts your audios into videos, beautiful videos, send them off to YouTube automatically. If you're doing Facebook Lives, we can take the Facebook Live and give it more life. And to do that, we send a copy to YouTube because things are more searchable and more discoverable on YouTube than they are on Facebook. And then we can take your Facebook Lives and convert them to audios and send them to SoundCloud, for example. So you can almost turn your Facebook Lives into an audio podcast. In the future, we're going to add other podcasting platforms as well, like podcast websites and Libsyn and etc. But right now, we're hooked up with SoundCloud. But the whole idea was, like, for me, I'm always about taking content and repurposing it into different platforms. So my plugins, which started back in 2013, was always like, take a YouTube video or take a podcast or take a Facebook Live and automatically publish it to your website as a blog. So those were my 3 plugins, one for Facebook Live, one for YouTube, one for podcast. And it basically makes a blog post, embeds the video or the audio, and then adds some, buttons and all this good stuff to help you grow your email list. But the whole idea is repurposing that piece of content that's sitting on YouTube or your podcast or on Facebook and adding it as a blog post. Then I thought, hey, why don't we take this to the next level? Like, this is awesome. We're going one way. We're going from media platform to your website. How about we go across? Like, people want their content everywhere. Why don't we automate that for them? And that's how the Repurpose was born. The whole idea was combine Repurpose with the WordPress plugins. Basically, you get a way to create content once, say a podcast, and you can have it go to your website and go to YouTube and go to Facebook and go to SoundCloud if you want. All 4 automatically if you combine the plugins and the Repurpose app.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant what you put together.
It is.
We just started using it ourselves just to about 2 weeks now, and in like no time, I was able to take the 30 some episodes that we have on the Small Business Puzzle and turn them into individual videos. And I mean, the graphics and the way that they look are absolutely amazing.
Awesome. It's so easy. You set it up once and you don't need to do it.
I mean, how long does it take normally? Okay, let's see. I got to open up Camtasia. I got to have somebody design, or I got to design some kind of a cover. I've got to open up Camtasia. I got to put it all together. I got to render it, and then I got to upload it to YouTube. I mean, we're talking hours of work, especially when you've got 30 plus episodes that we do. It is such a time saver. So
it's not worth it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's not worth it to do it manually. It's not worth your time.
I mean, you could outsource it.
It takes way too long. You can outsource it, yeah.
But, still, that's more money than, so we worked out a deal with Hani, and if you want to check out this software, you can, okay? You can do that by going to sbppodcast.com/repurpose, okay? And the thing is, guys, this is going to give you a look at it. I believe you can get a free trial, and you can just check it out, see if it's for you. It's honestly a really good piece of software, and we wanted to make sure that we bring you the best of what we do. And
we will include the YouTube channel also, so that if you want to see what they look like, see what our episodes look like, you'll be able to do that as well.
And so, yeah, I mean, this is honestly, guys, this is one of the best pieces of software I've seen for a while. And we are working with Hani to make sure that it is accessible to blind users. I know that a lot of people are, may wonder that, and I'm working with him to make sure that this software is completely accessible.
Yeah, and the software is it's an online software, so there's nothing to download to your computer. You just log in and you connect your YouTube channel and your podcast and your Facebook account to the software, and then you set up the rules. You say, okay, I want my podcasts, every time I publish a new podcast, I want it to go to Facebook and I want it to go to YouTube. So you kind of set the rules up, and then you just turn on a switch for autopilot, and it just does it automatically. It goes through all your episodes, and then also, when you publish a new episode, it automatically picks it up, and it does the magic. So once you set it, you don't need to log in anymore. And the beauty is there's nothing being downloaded to your computer, nothing being uploaded to YouTube. So you're not using internet bandwidth. You're not using your computer. It's not costing you anything in terms of time or resources on your computer. Everything's happening on our servers, which is very important, because once you're uploading something to YouTube, your computer is slowing down. Whether your internet slows down or your computer slows down, you don't have to worry about that. Our servers handle everything, and it's pretty sweet.
And it's not a slow process either. It's a pretty quick process. What, about 5 minutes per video, depending on the length of the video?
Depending, how long your episode is, but it takes a few minutes, and depending, of course, as we're always scaling, we're always adding more servers so that everybody on our system is taking advantage of it. I was just looking the other day, we crossed 500 users the other day, which is pretty. A lot of them are on trial, of course, but it's still exciting to have that kind of demand for a tool that's not even 2 months old. I think it's been 8 weeks out. So it's exciting. It's exciting where the potential is exciting as well, that people are getting great feedback, great ideas. Hey, why don't you add this or add that? I was like, oh, okay. Hey, I thought of that. Oh, hey, I never thought of that. So it's awesome when we got a community going on Facebook for people to join and leave their feedback and share ideas as well. So yeah, I'd love it for you to try it out if that's something you're working on, whether you're doing Facebook Lives and you want to send them to YouTube, or you got a podcast that you want to send to YouTube and to Facebook. It's configurable. You set the rules. You're in control. And you can even manually publish. Some people are not comfortable publishing automatically. You can go in and just click publish. And then, in a few minutes, it'll show up on YouTube. So totally configurable, but also totally you're in control, whether you want it on automatic or you want to manually publish episodes. And you can do that kind of at your own time if you want to. And when I say manual publishing, it literally means click one button that says publish. I don't mean you got to go in and edit the video. You just, when you're ready, you hit publish, and then you go to bed, and then a few minutes later, it'll be on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever you want it to go.
That's awesome. Hani, it's been awesome to talk to you this morning.
Has. Yes.
Catching up with you. How can people connect with you?
I've been on a few different podcasts. I found I just put a website together. It's a simple one-pager. This has all my contact info, Facebook account, Twitter account, all the tools that I worked on, a little bit about me. It's at hanimourra.com. So it's HANIMOURRA.com. And from there, you can connect with me on Facebook. There's links to my Twitter and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm happy to hear from anybody who's listening and wants to say hi, or, you can go to hanimourra.com and let's connect.
Yeah, Hani's tools are awesome. We use a number of them, including his simple podcast player, which absolutely rocks. If you want to see how that looks, just look at the podcast player on the website, and you'll see what it does. It looks really cool, and it has some pretty powerful functionality. Hani, it's been great talking with you this morning, and we definitely enjoyed our conversation and learned some things too. So
with that, guys, I'm Teresa.
I'm Michael.
And this has been the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. We're out.
You've been listening to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. To catch all our past shows, visit sbppodcast.com.